Hi, this is Brad Linder with Liliputing, and this is the Ramos W42, which is a tablet from Chinese device maker Ramos that sells for about $240 in the United States, and it has some pretty great specifications. So on paper it looks like a great tablet, and I asked the folks at Panda Wheel to send me a demo unit so that I could test it out and see how well it lives up to those specifications. So it has a quad-core Samsung Exynos 4412 processor, a 9.4-inch diagonal 1280 by 800 pixel widescreen display, a gigabyte of memory, and 16 gigabytes of storage. On the side, it's a little bit dark in this room right now, but you can sort of hopefully make out here that we've got a micro SD card slot, headset, power jack, micro USB, a reset button, and these little chrome buttons for power, volume down, volume up. Now that DC power jack is indicative of the fact that you need to use a power adapter with it. You can't charge it through the micro USB. This is just for connecting peripherals or hooking this up to your computer if you want to copy stuff. There's really nothing else on the other sides. It does have a sort of distinctive design here, which you've got sort of these flat edges, a little bit of a beveled edge, and a sort of round area here with a little bit of a ridge. There's a front-facing camera, not very high resolution. Rear-facing camera, also not very high resolution. I think it's just 2 megapixels, no autofocus. I wouldn't necessarily recommend using this for a lot of photography. Small speaker built into the back. It's reasonably clear audio, not very loud, so you're going to want to plug in headphones if you want to do anything, any serious media with this. Now, it does have that quad-core processor, which means, though, that it does handle media pretty well, and it comes with a built-in video player. A couple of videos came preloaded. So that works pretty well. It's a 720p video. Likewise, you can use online media. So I went ahead and installed the Netflix application. This device does come with a Google Play Store preloaded, which makes it pretty easy to download and install applications. And so things look pretty good here too. Web browsing is pretty good. There's, it comes with a built-in Android web browser, but it works with Chrome, Opera, everything else I've tried with it. I should really always wait for web page to load fully before I start zipping around here. Here we go. So we're loaded, nice and smooth. And handles games pretty well too. The Exynos 4412 processor is no longer one of the it's no longer the fastest chip on the market. We're starting to see some faster chips from Samsung, Qualcomm, and others, but it's probably one of the fastest processors that was released in 2012, and so to get a $240 tablet that has basically the same processor as the international version of the Samsung Galaxy S3 smartphone is pretty impressive. I'm not very good at games like this, but we'll go ahead and try it anyway. Did I mention I'm not very good at this? So graphics look pretty good. And it works fairly well as an ebook reader as well. Now, like most widescreen devices, it's really sort of well designed to be held in portrait or in landscape orientation, but it works pretty well in portrait mode as well, although it doesn't quite fit on the camera screen here. And so, I got the Kindle app running here, and I've read most of a 250-page ebook using this device and didn't have any real problems with it. Now, it does have a glossy screen, like most touchscreen devices, which means that in certain environments you're going to get a lot of glare. The bigger problem with the screen, though, is that it's not the most responsive touchscreen I've ever used. So you'll notice that, for instance, I just hit an app and nothing happened. That's not because it's being slow, that's because sometimes it just doesn't register presses. And I notice this more often when I'm using the web browser than anything else. Liliputing.com. So right now it's left out the G.com. So if you were going to be doing serious text entry, you'd probably want to invest in a separate keyboard, a physical keyboard for a device like this. In terms of just entering a URL here or there, it's really not that big a deal. But if you wanted to write documents or send email messages or do things along those lines, the lack of super responsiveness of the touchscreen can be a little bit problematic. Haven't really noticed it being a big problem in games, but I haven't spent a lot of time playing games on this. Sports casual games, clearly, as well as first-person shooters and other things like I just showed you. Comes with some apps preloaded, including some that are in Chinese and that I don't really understand how to use, but it's not too difficult to go ahead and install your own apps and uninstall any apps that you don't need. So there's a couple of games that come on here, and Ramos weather application, which only seems to show cities that are nowhere near the United States. So, clearly this is a device that was shipped over from China, as opposed to one that was developed in the United States or for sale in the United States. But it does come with English as the default language. It's running Android 4.0 Ice Cream Sandwich, not the newest version of Android, and because it is this Chinese tablet that may or may not really have a lot of support, there's no guarantee that you're ever going to get an official update to Android 4.1 or 4.2. It's possible that you'll get an update, but you don't know for certain that you will. Hopefully, if there's a large enough independent developer community of people who are buying these sorts of devices and interested in them, maybe we'll see third-party software. And it is actually very easy to root this device, so it shouldn't be too hard to install some third-party software like CyanogenMod if somebody releases a version for it. Or if you know what you're doing and want to try and compile a version yourself, it might not be too hard. But there's an app called Exynos Abuse that basically all you have to do is click a button and your device is rooted. So it's pretty easy to gain root access so that you can access files and settings that would otherwise be unavailable. In terms of sort of build quality, it feels pretty sturdy. The screen, I've noticed, flexes a little bit more if you push real hard in the center than some other devices that I've tried, but that's not something that most people are probably going to spend a lot of time pressing down on. I just noticed it today, and I've been using this thing for weeks. The battery life, officially it gets around 6 to 7 hours of battery life. That seems about right for my tests, and kind of more impressive is the fact that the battery drains very, very slowly when you turn it off and leave it off. And part of that is it actually seems to disable Wi-Fi by default. So I've left this thing unplugged overnight and come back the next day, and it's only down about 3%. So I've gone from 100% charge to 97% charge over the course of 10 or 12 hours. So that's kind of nice. Seems to have a metal rear panel here, but there's definitely a lot of plastic as well. And in terms of size and weight, as I mentioned, it's got a 9.4-inch screen, so it's a little bit sharper than something with a 10.1-inch screen in terms of screen resolution. The text and images are a little bit sharper than a larger device with the same resolution. And it weighs about 1.15 pounds, which makes it pretty light for a tablet of this size. Now, it's a little bit bigger than something like a 7-inch tablet like the Nexus 7, but, compared with, say, the 9.7-inch HP touchpad, you can see the touchpad pretty much hides the entire Ramos W42, and the touchpad also weighs a lot more. So it's lighter than an iPad, smaller than a full-sized iPad, bigger than a Nexus 7, but for $240, it offers a pretty nice intersection of performance, price, and durability. So overall, I've been pretty impressed with this device. The biggest challenge is that the touchscreen is not perfect, and as I mentioned, whenever you're ordering a device from a Chinese manufacturer, you might not be able to expect the same sort of support that you would get from a company that sells these things, or designs these things to sell in the US and other Western countries. This is Brad Linder with Lilliputiing, and you can find more details at lilliputiing.com.